Well, on the final home stretch here, but I need to clean up this mess. Folks, if you're going to do this kind of work, don't leave bare wires to short out like that and do crappy work like this. I mean, I rarely criticize people's work because we all learn and, we get better as we work more and so forth. And Lord knows I've made enough mistakes and done things wrong. But this is common sense, just having Sherwood Forest here of bare wires that can just bend and short out for no reason. There's no reason for this. So I'm going through, as you can see, and covering them with heat shrink, and I'll shrink them down. It'll still look uglier than a mud fence, but at least it won't short out. So let me do all the rest of these and we'll be back. Here, we'll let you sit in for some of the fun on this. See if I can reach here. Isn't this lovely? Not probably the way I would have done it, but now that everything is super glued in there that you can't get it back out, we just have to try to make chicken salad out of chicken crap. So we'll see what we can do. And sorry about the noise, but we have to have the fume extractor because this is just, a lot of smoke when you use this flux, but you have to use the flux to get the solder to flow properly. There you go, and then just give it a tug, make sure it's good. And slide your heat shrink tubing up over. Pretty much repeat this over and over again. And there it is. Okay. Let's see, we got 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9 more to go. We'll be done. Got all these ones done though already. Okay, much better. And our lights are working. And they don't look bad. So, alright. So I have the signal generator connected back up. I'm just going to do another quick 1 kilohertz test to make sure everything's still good. And we're going to look at our THD meter. And my test equipment, if we look at my Rigol DG4162, if I just take a direct connection from the output of the signal generator to the input of the 2015, it's going to be around 0.015% THD at the most. And so that's kind of the baseline that you'll get for distortion. You're really not going to get anything below that. So anything above that is being added by the stereo. And so remember, this thing's rated depending on which instruction you look at and which, whether it's the service manual or the owner's manual. It says that somewhere at rated power 1 kilohertz should be somewhere between 0.3 or 0.03 and 0.06% THD. So let's run this up to clipping, or just before, I should say. Okay, so that's right now, you're not seeing any distortion hardly from the stereo. I'm only running 5 watts per channel right now. And if we go up to 40 watts, 50 watts, 60, 70, 80 watts, and now I'm off the charts. I'm going to start hitting clipping here very shortly. And there's clipping. That's beautiful. Perfect. That's what we want. So THD is beautiful, and like I said, these modules are pretty awesome. I'm going to talk a little bit more about the transistors that are used in these in a follow-up video. The video is really not going to be about this stereo, but about some of the comments that you've made, that some of you have made about what to do with the fact that some of these transistors now are getting hard to find and they're being discontinued. So I'm going to do a separate little video on that, on how to get around that and how to find substitute parts that will work, and some of the trade-offs of the different parts, pros and cons and so forth. So we'll get into that in another video. Okay, I thought this would be a little bit fun to do. Haven't done this one in a little while, so I figured we could do the frequency analysis using the, let's see here if I can adjust the camera, using the GW Instek and using the frequency analysis program. And by the way, I did take one of you viewers' advice, and I did get a couple of these screen protectors for an iPad, and I am going to put them over this screen to see if it gets rid of that reflection, to make it easier to see, so you don't have to look at my ugly face while we're doing this. Now, the first thing I noticed when we hooked up the test equipment is, just like some of the Marantz amplifiers we've done in the past, this amplifier inverts the signal. Almost a complete inversion, 180 degrees, but not quite. Okay? So what you're going to see is when this thing does frequency analysis, when it does the phase difference between the input and the output, it's going to show one direction, and then as the frequencies kind of cross over, it'll skip over and you'll see the phase shift go up, and that's just because of the way the equipment analyzes the signal. So basically, understand it's almost 90 degrees out of phase, and it's not changing beyond that. It's the test equipment that's changing. All right, let's run the analysis. The blue line is the one we're really concerned about, because this is actually showing our gain, and the idea is whatever frequency we put in and we get out, we look at the gain, and it's being plotted right there. And the idea is, if this amplifier has a really flat response curve, this blue line should be straight. And did you see it jump? It just has to do with whether it's looking at the top half of the waveform or the bottom half when it looks at the phase. But so look how flat that is, all the way from 20 hertz to 20 kilohertz. Just a tiny little bit of roll off at 20 kilohertz. So, and that could be test equipment related and so forth. So it's beautiful frequency response. And again, this is your phase shift. And you can see it on the little traces here, the input versus the output. The input is the yellow trace, and the output out of the speaker terminals is the blue trace. And since they're out of phase, then it's always going to show, see, there's minus 180 degrees and plus 180 degrees, and you see how it just jumps from one to the other. So normal, and that's exactly what the Marantz was doing when we did this test. It's just a kind of an anomaly of this test equipment and so forth. But I'm running about 10 watts per channel, so I'm not pushing the amp real hard. But as you can see, it's working perfectly. All we care about is the gain, if it stays the same from 20 to 20 kilohertz. Okay, let's put on our stranger danger first of all. one sounds good. Let's see if we can find another YouTube safe song. Hold on. Okay, so we're going to change it up a little bit. What I'm going to do is I'm going to embarrass my youngest daughter. I'm going to play a piece when she was in the orchestra in her freshman year of college, and they did a reworked, kind of reworked for wind ensemble rendition of Bach's Toccata and Fugue in D minor, which is one of my favorite all-time pieces. I'm a fan of Bach, and that's probably my favorite piece on pipe organ, of course. But they reworked it for the wind ensemble, and I was wondering how they were going to pull it off. I was really amazed with how well they did. So it's time to embarrass my daughter, I guess, and kind of do a little bit of bragging about my daughter. So I'm going to play this. It's almost 10 minutes long, and feel free to skip through it or skip over it if you don't want to listen to it. I recorded it literally on my Samsung cell phone from the audience, and I'm now playing it back through this system, and I'm just going to use the lapel mic in front of the speakers as I always do in all my recordings. And I don't know, let's see how it turns out. Be interesting to see how it sounds on the other side when we get it uploaded. But again, this is a long piece. If you like Toccata and Fugue, this is a little different take on it, and I love it. Let's see how it sounds. Well, another project comes to an end, and if you're still with me after 5 parts, I think what this is going to be, wow, congratulations. So, as always, I wish you all peace, joy, happiness, and good health in your lives. I hope you enjoyed this as much as I did doing it. I hope you enjoy watching it, and I wish you all the best, and plenty of more projects to come. I have a couple things I might have to do on the bench for work before I get back to this sort of stuff, but as soon as I can get back into it, I will. And again, thank you all for the wonderful comments. I will do a follow-up video on this, short one, kind of how to cross over some components, because I know that bill of materials list on Mauser for these modules, a couple of the transistors are getting hard to find, if not impossible to find. We'll see if there's some ways we can work through it. We'll do it together on video. All right, everybody. Till next time, stay well. Take care. Bye-bye.